Hello and welcome to another episode of Walking Digital Corridors. Welcome. I am Alex Abbott, aka the Bearded Sales Guy, and today I'm joined by
Jensen Abbott, aka also known as Jensen. BDR Content.ai, and I'm really excited and happy to be here this morning on a lovely sunny Thursday morning, right? Well, nearly afternoon, but just about the morning still.
Well, no, it's not the afternoon for me. I'm still in the morning.
Yeah.
It's 11. It's the same time in Portugal as it is in the UK, and whilst it's 30 degrees here, I think it could be similar there in the UK.
Well, yeah. Do you know what? I went to London on Tuesday and experienced 32-degree heat on a train, on the tube, with no aircon. Right. It really is a bit of a battle. I must say, right. But hey, all fun and games. Just happy that I'm not in London today.
Yeah, the difference being that the UK isn't set up for the heat.
Oh, it's not. It's not at all. Right. Hence why you might be able to hear the industrial fan in the background that I've got pointing directly at me.
I did wonder what that was when we went live at the beginning. Anyway, look, today's topic is personal brand development. So, for those salespeople out there that are familiar with the Jolt Effect, Matt Dixon. Welcome, the sales poet.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I was a bit late. Call run over.
That's all right. Hopefully, it was a sales call and you were selling.
It was a prep call for a call later.
Okay, nice. No excuse then. This definitely takes priority. So for those salespeople that might be listening to us, if there's anyone out there, please do throw a few questions our way. We love getting questions and we love answering those questions live on air. But for those in sales, you might be familiar with Matt Dixon. Matt Dixon is the co-founder of the Challenger Sale, along with Brent Adamson. And Matt Dixon, after the Challenger Sale and the Challenger Customer, went on to write the Jolt Effect. Good morning, Jackie. And what I love about the Jolt Effect is the fact that they've used AI to. You sold me a swimming holiday in Monaco. Okay, there's a question for Jensen that we'll cover at the end. I don't think there's much selling. If it's free, then I'm there. But I guess you're hoping that the Ferrari boss will dive in, whose name escapes me now. Anyway. So who is it?
Fred Vatter.
Fred Vatter. Even with the pronunciation, well done, George. So what I love about the Jolt Effect is that Matt Dixon used AI to analyze, I think it was 2 million sales conversations, and he gleaned a ton of insight from that. The bit that I'm particularly interested in and relevant to today is the fact that Matt found that those salespeople that made an effort to develop their personal brands were higher performers than those that didn't. And the other guy that I want to reference today is a guy called Dr. Julian Birkinshaw. And so if you're not familiar with his work, back in, I think it was 2011, he did a research study that looked at the competitive advantage in sales or in business, and the fact that we had left the kind of the insight era, and we were now in this democracy era where purchase decisions were highly influenced by emotion, and that we make a decision using our emotions, and then we ratify it with logic. And he highlighted the importance that personal brand has in informing those decisions with a B2B buyer. And so, I think it's good to have those two folks, very influential, very credible, in the back of our minds when we talk about this topic today. So what is it? What is personal branding in the context of sales and social selling?
That was a question for us, was it?
Yeah, well, there's no one else on the call.
Don't all jump in at once.
So I think
I've just seen that comment from Pierre.
Yeah.
You don't need a beard, but I do find it helps.
Yeah.
At
least it makes me look older than 12.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you can call this a beard, but I probably still look about 12.
If I shave this off, I definitely look 12. So it's not going anywhere.
Yeah. There is research that has found that those with a beard are deemed more wise.
I'm going to have to grow a bigger beard then.
Gents, there's always an anomaly to any finding in a research. Cool. Yeah. So personal brand, I think it really comes down to perception, how you're perceived. And I think with personal branding being so sort of synonymous with social selling, I think people assume that your personal brand stops when outside of the digital world. But I don't think it does. I think part of your personal brand is how you are when you meet someone at a networking event, whether you're consistently on time for meetings, whether you're prepared, that all encompasses what your personal brand is. So I think it really is that perception, how you are perceived by others. And I think, that trust piece, the credibility piece is at the forefront. And, there's a great book called The Trusted Advisor, which breaks down a sort of trustworthiness equation, which is really great as well. Yeah.
That's maybe you could put the full name and author in the comments after the podcast today. It's when I great points, agree 100%. I think for today though, I do want to focus on the social element of our personal brands and the importance of actually intentionally looking at and designing both our passive social presence and our active social presence. And the reason why I think this is really, really important and should be on the radar of every salesperson today is because we know that 84% of C-level use social media to influence B2B purchase decisions, which I found very enlightening. And that if we engage C-level early on in the sales process, it increases sales velocity by 9.2 times. And I have to credit Guy Rubin at Ebster for that insight. And that we find within our Supero social selling benchmark that those following the method will increase stakeholder engagement by 6.4 times on average within those accounts that they're engaged in. So it's, if that is the case, right? If our buyers at C-level are on social media, then why aren't we developing our passive social profiles? Why aren't we doing it to the point that we, when the C-level or any influencer, stakeholder influencing the purchase decision reads our profile, that we feel confident that it leaves them with the conclusion that we want them to be left with, not the fact that I'm trying to get another job.
Yeah.
So before we ask why salespeople aren't doing this very much, or certainly we don't see that they're doing this very much, shall we just define the criteria or some of the key elements that make up one's passive social presence?
Cool. It's going to be a list.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends how far you want to take this, but I tend to use 12 criteria, certainly from a passive perspective. Thank you, Jordan, for sharing that. Let me just share that with everybody. There we go. The Trusted Advisor by Jeremy Donovan.
Indeed. That article is a great summary of the book.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. I'll just leave that up there for a second, but it is in the comments on the post. Is it on your post or my post of this?
Your post.
Okay, cool. So what is the criteria we look at? Well, there are 3 pieces of real estate on your LinkedIn profile. And we're just going to be talking about LinkedIn for today. It is the biggest B2B social network with 1.1 billion users. There are 3 pieces of real estate that are, I'd argue, most valuable. One is the banner, the other is the photo, and the third is the tagline. These 3 things are what your audience see first when you're posting and commenting. They get a little notification when you do that, and that's what they see first. So if those 3 things aren't standing out and are different from the rest, then you're not going to grab their attention. They're not going to click through and have a closer read of your profile. So typically what I'll do, I don't know about you guys, but certainly for me in my role, is I'll provide a score based on the profile. I'll start with 100%, and I'll look at each of these things. Is there a colorful banner picture that stands out and is different, is sort of grabs your attention? Not a corporate picture usually, although the marketing team probably want you to have a corporate banner, but something that is stands out and is different. The tagline is so important. Most people put their title, or there was a period of time for quite a few years where they you had to put the outcome you deliver, and that was your tagline. I deliver outcomes for so and so. I think we're beyond that now. I think we need to be more human, more authentic, something that reveals a little bit about our personality to grab someone's attention. On that note, what have you got, Jensen?
No, yeah, I was just going to say, I still see that a lot more. Job titles or increased conversion by times 50, right, in someone's tagline. And when someone receives that connection, already you're setting in stone how that relationship's going to go. And that's going to be a very one-sided, hey, you interested? Hey, haven't heard back from you. Hey, following my last message, right? Or automation, right? And the amount that I've seen automation recently and on myself, right? And I'm thinking I'm not the target person. And that has a turn off for people.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like what you're saying is, I don't actually care what your thoughts or feelings are. I just want to say what I want to say. And it actually damages your own reputation. So on those 3 points, couldn't agree more. Very critical, very clear. The first thing that someone sees, and that's the first thing that someone sees when you send a connection, when you comment on a post, when you interact with someone. Those 3 are the first things that are seen. So it's crucial to be able to, I think, actually step back, right, and not think I need to make a sale. It's more, I am Jensen Abbott. This is me.
Yeah, you touch on a really important point for me there. Something that I was talking to your mum about this morning, as if she doesn't hear enough of this. But have you heard about the Stanford marshmallow experience, or experiment?
Say that again.
It's the Stanford marshmallow experiment.
Stanford marshmallow experiment.
It basically looks at instant gratification versus delayed gratification, and how a bunch of school children were part of this experiment, and they were said, do you want one marshmallow now, or do you want 2 marshmallows in 15 minutes? And what they found is the kids that wanted or agreed to the 2 marshmallows in 15 minutes, they were happier, healthier, and wealthier when they grew up, because they understood the value of waiting.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking about this topic today with personal brand development. As sales, we're conditioned for instant gratification. We need the next meeting. We need the pipeline. We need to close the deal. I need to get the commission so I can spend it instantly on that next shiny thing that I want to buy. And actually, when you think about social selling and personal brand development, if you make the effort to design your passive social profile to help your buyer come to the conclusion that you want them to, if you invest in connecting with the right people and over time they see you for who you really are, if you insert yourselves into social networking conversations in a credible, genuine, and authentic way, and you're creating content that makes you stand out and look different from the rest, genuine and authentic, worth having a chat with, then what's going to happen? Your audience are more likely to want to speak to you as opposed to the person that wants instant gratification.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I shared the link in the family WhatsApp, by the way.
Yeah, I saw it pop in while I was in the gym this morning.
Yeah, but I just love it. Like, just think about that for a moment.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, no, I was just going to. I was just going to relay back to the trusted advisor equation. One of the factors within the equation is other orientation, which relates to motivation, and all too often a salesperson will push things too quickly, as you mentioned, because they want to qualify this prospect, they want to pitch to this prospect, they want to send the contract, the DocuSign, they want to do this, that, and the other, because it's all what they want. Whereas the other orientation is, rather than putting themselves at the center, it is putting the buyer at the center. And it's that understanding that you need to go at the buyer's pace, and sometimes that means you're going to have to be patient. You're going to have to, so yeah, just sort of stopped thought there.
And what's in it for them?
Yeah.
Thinking about what's in it for your buyer when you're designing your profile. Okay, so what else is important on the profile?
So there's 2 things. One which I wholeheartedly believe is potentially the most important part of your profile. Perhaps not the most important, but it's a very important piece, which I think is often overlooked. And then the other piece is just something that I've seen become a lot more prominent. So the first piece is the featured section.
Yeah.
I think it's so underutilized by salespeople. When you're thinking about what's in it for your buyer, what's in it for that prospect that you're reaching out to, the featured section is so great because it's dynamic. If you're reaching out to a certain company, make sure all of the content within your featured section relates to that company, that in the industry that they work in, the challenges that you've decided that they're facing. If you're taking a targeted approach, And then, you know, as you'll see on mine, I've got some posts which are whole sort of there when I'm not taking a targeted approach. So I can update this as and when. These are my holding, just to give a bit more background on, you know, the value that I can provide, the you know, what are the things that I focus on. But as I said, because it is dynamic, if I'm targeting a company in the health sector, what I might do is take some of the articles that I've already written and just add a spin on why that's so crucial in the health sector. So the prospect, when receiving my connection request, they'll instantly see, oh, this guy, you know, is talking directly to me. This content is really relevant to me.
Yeah.
And
Really, really important. Yeah. Go on. Sorry.
Just again, as you mentioned, what's in it for them. That's value up front. And then the second piece is, which is growing in prominence, is using an emoji in your name. So owning an emoji, being associated in an emoji with an emoji. So I don't. I'm not. I haven't. Yeah, I'm behind the times here. But you know, when I see the dinosaur emoji, I instantly think of Comsor. When I see the lightning bolt emoji, I instantly think of Supered. When I see, a green heart or a video camera, I think of Vidyard, but that's probably because of my, previous association. But if you can become synonymous with an emoji, as a piece of your personal brand. I know Augusto, who joins us on the F1, he's added, I think it was a palm tree at the end. He basically asked his network what his emoji, personal brand emoji, should be, and the results of the poll was that. So yeah, that's just another piece that we could potentially consider.
Yeah, that's given me a thought. So for those of you who don't yet have your featured section on your own profile, which kind of sits about a third of the way down, it's very easy to add that section. So add profile section, and then if you want to add your posts or any posts to your featured section, you go to one of your posts, and then you click the three dots at the top. I've already got this one on my featured section, but that would say add to featured section, or you can remove it if you choose. Cool. Okay. Let's have a look at Mark's comment here. So I'm aware of, let me put it on the screen. I'm aware of a study about how we act when we think we are being watched. Honesty box for coffee with over 2 separate weeks. 1 week there were pictures of famous people's eyes on the wall behind the coffee machine. Outcome, more money taken when being watched. Interesting. My point, if you see people are viewing your LinkedIn profile or are interacting with your comments, you react in a way where you give more. The power of reciprocation on LinkedIn. And brilliant.
And the reason it's a rubber ring, lifesaver ring, whatever the official name is, I guess is because you'd be swimming in the harbour rather than a pool. And
inside joke, brilliant. I didn't think of that, I have to say, to begin with. I felt Mark might be drowning and he needs saving.
Or is that because Mark saves businesses? businesses, sales organizations.
There we go. Yeah. Let us know, Mark. Good. Right. What's next? So we've done the banner, we've done the photo, we've done the tagline, we've done the featured section, and we've done the emoji. That's a new one on me, but it has given me a thought about the kind of emoji that I would have on my profile. I'm gonna have a little play with that after the call. So next we've got the about section. So most, not all, but for the most part, many will talk about what they do and how great they are in their about section. And, maybe it's more CV-esque rather than, what it says on the tin about you. So, I think that actually taking the time to write about yourself, almost put yourself in the shoes of a real life networking scenario. What are the kind of things that you might say to the other person as you attempt to build a rapport with them? It's probably your more personal, professional story than, hey, I'm a salesperson, account executive, and I hit quota last year, and I'm on track to, double performance this year. That's not the kind of thing that you would say to someone in a real life networking environment, unless you just wanted to stop talking with them and turn them off, because no one likes anyone with an ego. But what are some of the things that you think are important to include in an about section, Jensen?
Very good question. I would say kind of what are things to include? I don't really know things to include, but for myself, it's telling a story, and it's your own story. It's your personal story. It's to give the reader a better understanding of who you are. And I think a lot of people get confused with that and think it's about telling about the company they work for.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if someone wants to know what your company does, they'll go to the company profile. If someone comes to your profile, they're wanting to learn a little bit more about you. And I think the best way to do that is storytelling, right? What better way to actually captivate someone's attention from taking them on your own personal story? And maybe they can relate from it, right? And this is where conversations can be drawn out, where people will be able to relate. And with my about section, I've got about, I think my first job was a paper boy waking up at 5 a.m. Hated it. I hated the job. I really did. But I've had people say, oh, do you know what? Funnily enough, that was my first job as well. And this your about section is where conversations can be created, because people are interested in you and people do have similar stories to yours. So I find it's a place where you can connect.
Yeah. 100%. And there are, for those that are not natural storytellers, not natural writers, there are some very simple techniques that you can learn quite easily. One of which is called the simple story framework. So just thinking about the 4 events that make up the simple story framework. 1 is the setting, 2 is the complication. As you heard Jensen say, life and work isn't a bed of roses. Jensen did the job, but he hated it. There's a complication there. It makes it more engaging. The turning point, and then at what point did you realize, or at what point did things change? And then the resolution. And whilst Jordan is keyboard warrioring,
on his really loud keyboard.
Maybe pop yourself on mute if you want to type, because the conversation's boring. Oh no, I've got to drop.
I was just saying, I've got another call. I've got to drop.
All right. Well, let's wrap things up shortly. So, in addition to the about section, bye, George. See you next week.
Have a great week. Bye.
Cheers. Bye. In addition to the about section, we also have the experience section. So, again, I see either job title or job title and job that I do. I think it's helpful to help your audience understand why you do what you do, especially if this is a potential customer and they're taking the time to read about you because they're about to buy from you. They want to know you, what drives you, and are you someone that they can trust? And usually it's when you start to kind of add more color to the painting, help them get to know the real you, is when you start to stand out from the crowd, from the sameness of salespeople, where the world is just amazing and full of success, as opposed to reality.
Yeah,
that really helps to build trust.
exactly that.
And then, have a look at things like, are you working on any projects? Are they relevant to your audience? Put them on your profile. Are you, have you looked at your skills lately? Have you organically grown, your profile with 30 or 50 skills on? When you look at it, half of them are no longer relevant.
Yeah.
Clean those up, have a little look, make sure that you are coming across as the expert in your field for the things that are relevant to your buyer today, not 5 years ago.
I would also add there the same with interests in companies. I've had it before in my experience where I've viewed someone's profile and their interests, and I've shared that in a message and they said, oh no, they're not an interest of mine. To which I had to screenshot and send it to them and say, oh, if it's not an interest, maybe it'd be worth updating your profile.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's exactly that. People are going to have a look at your profile and they may catch something on your profile. If it's not up to date and it doesn't relate.
Yeah.
I was going to say you look a bit silly. It's just good to have that up to date, right? Because like you said, it's telling a live story.
I don't think it's a question of looking silly. I think it's a question of standing out from the crowd.
Yeah.
We all know in sales or business, customer success, sales, consulting, whatever it is that you do as a job, quite often when you're part of a purchase decision, you're selling something, whether it's yourself, a product or a solution of sorts, the difference between your buyer choosing you and the competition is as thick as a cigarette paper. It's, it's like, wow, they both look and sound the same. I'm going to go with them because he was always on time for a meeting, or because I felt good. I felt like I was getting value. How do you quantify that feeling? Sometimes you can't. So sometimes it is a decision that has been made on the fact that, wow, this person is a thought leader. This person does come across as a genuine, authentic individual that I share some values and beliefs with. So I'm gonna go with them. So it's all these little things that are within your control, within our influence to change, so that our buyers are left with, they come to the conclusion that we want them to when they're reading about us on our passive social profiles. Recommendations is a big one. How many times have we worked on getting a recommendation on our profile, but then when we go and look at our profile now, it's 5 years out of date or a year out of date. Actively think about obtaining relevant and up-to-date recommendations on your profile. And I'm almost certain, if one of your customers or prospects is in the process of making a decision to work with you, they're going to be reading your LinkedIn profile. They probably already read it when they first had that meeting with you. So it's really important to make sure those recommendations are relevant and up to date. And this is before we get into the active social profile, the active social behaviors you can do that make up your social kind of personal brand. Things like commenting and the content that you create. But I'm conscious of time, so we may have to cover that on on another session.
Yeah.
Before we close off for today, two questions, Jensen. Do you have any final thoughts that you want to share with anyone that might be thinking about how they start to develop their personal brand on social media?
Yeah, I'm going back to going back to a quote that I heard. It was about when an opportunity arises to do something, instead of saying no, say why not, right? Just do it. So if you're thinking about rewriting your about section, obviously don't go into LinkedIn, delete your about section, then go to write a new one. Maybe write some ideas in your notes, right? Start putting down some points that you can then elaborate on, and then you can build out that story with your about section. Same with the experiences, right? And it's all a trial and error, right? You're only going to know if it's worked by the feedback from those target accounts or the prospects or whoever it is you're trying to speak to, and track that. A/B test it. Oh, I changed my LinkedIn profile and my tagline. Oh, I actually had 32 new connections, or the week before I had 24. This week it's increased by 32. Oh, okay. Could that be because of my profile picture and my tagline? If so, try and improve other areas of your profile and see how you can get the maximum value out of building this personal brand.
Yeah. Okay. Good points. Good points. Second question. Any ideas for a topic for next week that we consider?
Oh, I mean, there's so much. There's so much we could talk about.
How about, so on the theme of your active social behavior and how that supports your personal brand,
yeah,
we could treat that, we could discuss that as a topic in its entirety.
Yeah.
Or we could maybe break it down. One area I'm thinking about is salespeople and C-level, rarely the two meet. Right? It's always difficult for salespeople to engage the C-level. So do we have a session that talks about some of the things, the solutions that salespeople can do on social media to increase their chances of engaging with C-level?
Yeah, I think we do that.
Okay.
We do that.
There we go. Decided. In the absence of Jordan, although I'll run it past him, see what he thinks.
Awesome.
All right, buddy. Enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you, Mark, Jackie, Pierre, for your comments. It's great getting questions and comments. And so for those of you that can join us next Thursday, we're talking about salespeople and C-level. Rarely the two meet, and specifically some of the tips and tricks that you can apply to engage C-level.
And Pierre's comment at the end there. Just quickly, don't know if you saw it.
Thanks, guys. My learning today is breadcrumbing via personal brand to build relationships which lead onward to building trust. Good stuff. All right. Thanks, Pierre. Enjoy the rest of your week. See you next time for Walking Digital.